What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Big Time Football Talk. So let's get to my final mock draft. This is what I think the teams will do. Just a few hours away from NFL draft tonight. I'm really looking forward to this draft. It's going to be super fun, super exciting. There's a lot of question marks tonight around this draft. What teams are going to do. So let's get to my final mock draft of what I think the teams will do tonight. So starting with number 1, Carolina Panthers select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama. Number 2, the Houston Texans select Tyree Wilson, edge rusher from Texas Tech. Kind of went back and forth. I think they'll either take C.J. Stroud or Tyree Wilson. From what I'm hearing, though, they, the odds keep shooting up for Tyree Wilson. Obviously, Vegas doesn't know exactly what's going to happen. It's obviously them just trying to, distribute the money or the winnings so that they don't lose money on this. But Tyree Wilson, is a guy you've been hearing, the NFL teams like a lot, and it's D'Amico Ryans, defensive guy for the Texans. To me, Wilson or Stroud. I ended up going Tyree Wilson, banking on, maybe they get a quarterback later. So Tyree Wilson, edge rusher, Texas Tech is the pick at 2 for the Houston Texans. Number 3, it's Paris Johnson, tackle from Arizona. You hear rumors that Kyler Murray told the coaching staff and the organization he wants them to get him a tackle. So that's where they go here. Paris Johnson, arguably the best offensive tackle in this draft. Also a guy that's played guard at Ohio State. Very good athlete. Moves super well. Does everything you want as far as the pass game and the run game is concerned. Really nice football player out of Ohio State. So number 4, C.J. Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State. C.J. Stroud, once upon a time, was projected to be the number 1 quarterback or the top quarterback to go in this draft. We have him falling here to the Colts, and the Colts getting themselves a nice player in C.J. Stroud. Number 5, this is where Jalen Carter, defensive tackle, defensive interior player from Georgia goes. Seattle, really wants to build this offensive line. And it seems like they want to make that, emphasize that, continue, and make it better. Jalen Carter's the pick. Number 6, Will Anderson Jr., edge rusher from Alabama, goes to the Detroit Lions. This wouldn't be my pick, but you feel like if Will Anderson's on the board here, whether you don't think he has the upside, like myself included, and some others are really questioning, it's a pretty good value. And this is a guy that, despite what you think his ceiling is in the NFL, he'll be a good player nonetheless, and a guy that, will bring a work ethic and bring plays at a high level, effort-wise, consistently. Number 7, we have the Las Vegas Raiders selecting Devin Witherspoon, cornerback from Illinois. Witherspoon's my favorite corner in this draft, a super fun watch, a guy that just flies around, makes big hits, covers well man-to-man, off-man, zone, guy that plays bigger than his size at 5'11", 180-ish. Just a good all-around football player, and that's a pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. At number 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons selecting Bijan Robinson, running back from Texas. This is where Bijan Robinson gets his name called tonight. I wouldn't overthink this if I was Atlanta. Obviously, Atlanta has needs elsewhere, but you get a guy like Bijan Robinson who can catch the ball, he can run the ball, he can score touchdowns, he can make big plays, he can make yardage out of nothing. That seems like the pick for me. Number 9, Chicago Bears, Peter Skoronski, tackle, Northwestern. Skoronski, is he a tackle? Is he a guard? Is he a center? Is he going to play quarterback? But wherever Peter Skoronski is going to play on the offensive line, he's going to excel because he's got the tools and the intelligence to be an excellent run blocker and pass blocker at the next level. So he's the pick for the Bears here. Number 10, Nolan Smith, edge rusher, Georgia. Nolan Smith, high motor, freak athlete, good play strength, good side-to-side movement, does everything you want in a linebacker edge rusher. That's Nolan Smith. And the Philadelphia Eagles, add a nice complementary piece to Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and a guy a little similar to Hassan Reddick, a guy that's, quick twitch, speed, Nolan Smith's got it all. I like the pick here for Philadelphia. Number 11, Tennessee Titans take Will Levis. This is where the Will Levis slide stops. I think this pick makes a lot of sense. Tennessee Titans need a quarterback. Seems like they're in the market for a quarterback. Get them a guy by some people is the second best quarterback in this draft, and Will Levis. Number 12, Houston Texans, Anthony Richardson, quarterback, Florida. This was an interesting spot because it's rumored the Texans might go Hendon Hooker, but it seems like Anthony Richardson would be a nice pick nonetheless. And this is a guy that, tested off the charts athletically. Is he ready to play next year? That's the big question mark. A lot of people think he's a guy that needs to sit. I think he's ready to go next year. And, even if his passing isn't fully developed, even if you have not got the most out of him as far as, maximizing his passing ability and cleaning up his accuracy, it's a guy that's still a phenomenal runner, athlete, and I think a guy that will be a good quarterback, and I think you will be able to get the most out of him at the next level. 13, the Green Bay Packers selecting Utah tight end Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, best pass-catching tight end in this draft. Just an incredible athlete, excellent football player. Did a lot of high-level play for Utah this past few seasons. Guy kind of a late bloomer, played at transfer from San Diego. Excellent football player. The Green Bay Packers get a nice weapon for Jordan Love at pick 13. Pick 14, New England, taking Broderick Jones, offensive tackle, Georgia. Broderick Jones, really nice season this past year for Georgia. A big dude, good, guy that is just a good all-around tackle. Guy that can run block, pass block, does have some good finish to him. Likes to, really play with aggression and finish blocks. Number 15, New York Jets taking Darnell Wright, offensive tackle, Tennessee. Darnell Wright, like I touched on, this is a guy that can play left tackle, right tackle. Also a guy that does have the versatility to play guard. He's extremely strong. Was very highly recruited out of high school, former 5-star, and an excellent football player nonetheless. Number 6, Washington. This is where Christian Gonzalez finally goes, the Oregon corner. Gonzalez, all the tools to succeed at the next level at the cornerback position: size, length, athleticism, fluidity, ability to open up his hips, can change direction super well. Really nice football player. Former transfer from Colorado to Oregon this past season. Really excelled and became one of the top corners in the nation, and he's one of the top corners in the NFL draft and will be the second corner off the board, at least in my thought. Number 17, Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Anton Harrison, tackle from Oklahoma. Harrison was one of my favorite players to watch. This is a guy that, super smooth, just gets the job done. Whether he's run blocking, pass blocking, this is a guy that, can get to the second level, can block in the open field. Not a great athlete, but a good enough athlete, and has a, very good play strength overall. A guy that's played a pretty good amount of football for Oklahoma and done a really nice job at the left tackle position for the Sooners. Number 18, Detroit Lions taking Luke Van Ness. So you got the Lions double downing here at edge rusher, I guess. But Luke Van Ness, I think, is more than an edge rusher. This is a guy that, yes, he can play out in the edge in like a stand-up 6 technique, but I think this is a guy that is shown he can move inside and play the 0 technique, the 2 technique, 3 technique in between guard and center. There's a lot of versatility with Luke Van Ness, and I don't think he is just a power player. I think he is, super strong and powerful. I do think he is a better athlete than he gets credit for. Maybe not the super quick twitch guy that Nolan Smith is, but he is a good athlete nonetheless, and I think he has a very bright future in the National Football League. Number 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver, Ohio State. I really like Smith-Njigba. It's a guy that just knows how to get open. It's not always flashy with, the run after the catch is really good, but it's not always flashy in wow you speed, wow you acceleration, wow you quickness off the line of scrimmage. But a guy that, like I said, knows how to attack DB's leverage and get open. super nice receiver, likely going to play in the slot at the next level. Could he play in the outside? I think he could, but a fit in could be a nice complement to Godwin, Mike Evans in the slot in Tampa Bay. Number 20, Seattle Seahawks taking Kalijah Kancey, defensive tackle Pitt. Man, getting him and Jalen Carter would be a problem for a lot of opposing offensive lines. And if you're Seattle, you go from a defensive line that was very average, maybe at best, and now you add Kalijah Kancey and Jalen Carter, and you are really making opposing offenses stay up at night. 21, the Los Angeles Chargers taking Zay Flowers, Boston College. This is a pick, defensive line, just defensive help in general for the Los Angeles Chargers was on my mind. But Zay Flowers, my number one receiver in this draft, get some help for Justin Herbert, get him a guy that he can rely on in the slot, and a guy that, will be a nice key piece to the Chargers receiving corps that has Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Number 22, Baltimore Ravens taking Will McDonald, edge rusher, Iowa State. Will McDonald, I still think, even though he's getting more hype, I still think he's one of the most underrated players in this draft. A guy that was just put in a really a bad position by the Iowa State coaching staff. You really got to question, what the coaching staff was doing, playing him in a 3-down front, playing in between like the guard and center sometimes, taking on a lot of double teams, not putting him in an ideal situation where he can win one-on-one as a pass rusher, which inevitably he's going to do a lot of in the NFL. So Will McDonald's the pick, really nice edge rusher out of Iowa State for the Baltimore Ravens. 23, Minnesota Vikings, Deonte Banks, corner, Maryland. Deonte Banks, one of the best corners in this draft, one of the best athletes at corner in this draft. He's right there with Gonzalez and Witherspoon as far as a super athlete at the position. Guy that's had a really nice career at Maryland. A guy that's competes. He can tackle, can play man, he can play zone. So that's the pick here for the Vikings at 23. Number 24, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Brian Branch, safety / corner DB from the University of Alabama. Brian Branch, just a guy, played in the star position at Alabama, which was kind of like a nickel slot corner for Nick Saban. It's a guy that, if you watch Alabama games, he was usually making one big play a game, whether that was an interception, a key sack, tackle for loss, guy that just knows how to make plays, guy that gets it, guy that has good ability to react and just get to the football. Number 25, New York Giants taking Osiris Torrance, guard out of Florida. New York Giants, they secured the tackle position. Receiver could be concerned, receiver could be on their mind. This is a team that's, their defense has improved overall. Dexter Lawrence has become a man inside. So, why not get another man inside on the offensive line and take Osiris Torrance, arguably the best interior guard in this draft. 26, Cowboys taking defensive tackle Mazi Smith out of Michigan. Cowboys, when they've taken a first round Michigan player in the draft, Taco Charlton, that didn't work out. This to me will work out with Mazi Smith. Mazi Smith, an excellent defensive tackle, super strong in the upper body, a guy that I think whether he plays like a true zero technique or a true head up over the guard, I think he will be disruptive in the middle and a guy that will help keep interior blockers off of the Dallas Cowboys linebacking core, and a guy that, his disruption in the middle will only help Micah Parsons. Buffalo Bills at 27 taking Brian Brzee, defensive tackle, Clemson. Really like Brzee's game. He's a big, physical, imposing defensive tackle. Former number one recruit out of high school. Excellent athlete. Tested super well for a guy that's 6'5", over 300 pounds. You add him, you have Ed Oliver, and you're really kind of shoring up the interior defensive part of the Buffalo Bills. 28, Cincinnati Bengals. We have them taking tight end Michael Mayer. Get Joe Burrow another nice weapon here. Michael Mayer is a guy that can catch. He can block. He's a big presence at tight end. A guy that maybe not the best receiving tight end in this draft, but a solid all-around tight end nonetheless. 29 New Orleans Saints, John Michael Schmitz, center out of Minnesota. Michael Schmitz, you could argue, him, Osiris Torrance, Cody Mock, those are, three really good interior players. And if you're the New Orleans Saints, this is a roster not as good as it once was a couple years ago when they were making the playoffs every year. But you add John Michael Schmitz, and that will, well, like I said, with a lot of these teams, when in doubt, build the interiors. And, the New Orleans Saints, a couple years ago, had a really good offensive line. They've lost some pieces. So John Michael Schmitz, plug him in the interior, and I think that'll booster the offensive line in the run game for Alvin Kamara. Number 30, Philadelphia Eagles, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back, Alabama. If you listen to Philadelphia sports talk, there's a lot of buzz, hype around them getting Bijan Robinson at 10. Obviously, I have Atlanta taking him here. So if you don't get Bijan at 10, then it's not much of a this isn't much of a consolation prize getting Jahmyr Gibbs. This is a high-level running back, a guy that has legitimate speed, showed it off at the Combine, 4.36. A guy that can, catch the ball at the backfield, pretty physical between the tackles despite not being a super big guy, but a really good running back and had a phenomenal career in college, starting off at Georgia Tech, finishing off last year at Alabama. 31, Kansas City Chiefs taking Quentin Johnston, wide receiver, TCU. And, I didn't really want the Chiefs. I didn't really want to have the Chiefs take a wide receiver here. But then again, Quentin Johnston seems like a nice complement to some of the pieces they have and will be a guy that is a deep threat and a guy that can win contested catches in the end zone. So you had another nice weapon for Patrick Mahomes, getting Quentin Johnston, wide receiver out of TCU. Thanks for tuning in to Big Time Football Talk. Make sure to stay tuned for more episodes of clips from the show. Till next time, peace.